What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Bryce Crawford podcast. I'm Bryce, and today we are on day 19 of the 24-day Luke Christmas Challenge, where every day we're reading a chapter of Luke. So by the time you get to Christmas Eve, you would have read the whole Gospel of Luke. If you're watching it and not listening, and my nose starts bleeding, it's because I just shaved and I cut my nostril. So if we start bleeding, you guys got to let me know so I know to stop it. But the reality of that statement is that I won't be able to hear you guys tell me if my nose is bleeding, because I'm recording this right now. But before we get into it, guys, January 19th, first ever live podcast show, 6 o'clock at night. Go get your tickets at jesusinthestreet.org/tickets. I want you guys to come out. It's a way to support our ministry. It helps fund our videos. But it's going to be a powerful night. I'm hoping to do these more in the future. But this might only be the only one we ever do. Don't know. But would love for you guys to come out. It's going to be awesome. Going to be a powerful night. So come on out, January 19th at 6 p.m. here in Los Angeles. Get your tickets, jesusinthestreet.org/tickets. Now, let's jump down into chapter 19, see what we got going on. He entered Jericho and was passing through, and behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. Now, it seems to me that Jesus was going out of his way into Jericho just for Zacchaeus. And he's not just any tax collector. He's the chief tax collector. He's the big dog. He would be the most hated tax collector in the entire city because he's the chief tax collector. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not because he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. Now, Zacchaeus risked embarrassment to climb up in this tree to see Jesus. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry up, come down, for I must stay at your house today." Notice how Jesus just isn't in the business of converting him and then keeping on his way. He's interested in building a relationship with Zacchaeus. So he hurried down, came down, and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all grumbled. He has gone in to be a guest of a man who is a sinner. So people were frustrated that Jesus, once again, was hanging out with a tax collector who was deemed a sinner and an outcast. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, "Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will restore it fourfold." So now Zacchaeus, through the power and conviction of Jesus Christ, he is repentant. And he said, "You know what? I'm going to give away half my goods, and the other half I'm just going to restore everyone I've ever done wrong." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come into this house, because he has recognized the repentant heart of Zacchaeus, since he also is the son of Abraham." These Jews hated him so much, they probably thought that he wasn't a Jew. But he's like, no, he is a Jew, both by genetics and through Jesus Christ. And then it says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." Jesus is saying, look, listen, I came for people like Zacchaeus. I came for sinners. I came for people that are wicked and need to recognize that they need someone greater than themselves. That's who Jesus came for, and that's what he's saying he came for. He came for him. That's the type of person he came for. It's such a powerful moment. Now we're going to read the parable of the 10 minas. As they heard these things, he proceeded to tell a parable because he was near to Jerusalem and because they supposed that the kingdom of God was to appear immediately. He said, therefore, a nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and then return. Calling 10 of his servants, he gave them 10 minas. And he said to them, "Engage in business until I come." But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, "We do not want this man to reign over us." Now, this parable that he's telling here is going to be specifically to the disciples. He's talking about when he returns, how are the disciples, how are we as believers going to have handled the resources that God has given us in the time being when we wait for him to return. When he returned, having received the kingdom, he ordered these servants to whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know what they had gained by doing business. So he called them back and said, "Look, I want to figure out what you guys did." The first one came before him, saying, "Lord, your mina has made 10 minas more." And he said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Because you have been faithful in very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities." And the second one came and said, Lord, your mina has made 5 minas. And he said to him, "And you are to be over 5 cities. Then another came saying, "Lord, here's your mina, which I kept laid away in a handkerchief, for I was afraid of you, because you are a severe man. You take what you did not deposit and reap what you did not sow." Now, this is someone who was afraid to figure out what to do with the mina, so he hid it. Didn't know what to do. He was afraid to risk, so he did. That's disobedience being described here in this parable. Disobedience with the resources the Lord leaves us when we wait on him to return. And he said to him, "I will condemn you with your own words. You wicked servant, you knew that I was a severe man, taking what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, and at my coming I might have collected it with interest? And he said to those who stood by, take the mina from him and give it to the one who has the 10 minas. And they said to him, Lord, he has 10 minas. I tell you that to everyone who has, more will be given. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. There's this call to be good stewards with the resources God gives us before we wait on his return. But as for these enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, bring them here and slaughter them before me. Now we're about to read about the triumphal entry. The week before Jesus is going to be crucified, Jesus rides through the city, and in a triumphal way, the people glorify him. So we're about to read what this is like. Moses is sitting on my lap. He's currently blocking everything right now on the video podcast if you guys aren't watching. Come on, lay down. Lay down. Lay down, buddy. Come on, he will not lay down. The other dog's coming here. Nalu's coming in here. Hey, Nalu. Yeah. Come on. Sorry, guys. We're taking a quick break here. Maybe you guys need to stretch while we're waiting to read the second half of chapter 19. It's going to be awesome. All right, Moses, come on, lay down. He's laid down into the microphone now. It's okay. All right. Let's see. This is so funny. Verse 28. And when he had said these things, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. When he drew near to Bethphage and Bethany, at the mount that is called Olivet, he sent two of the disciples, saying, go into the village in front of you, where on entering you will find a colt tied, on which no one has ever yet sat. Untie it and bring it here. If anyone asks you, why are you untying it? You shall say this, the Lord has need of it. Now, the second time Jesus returns, he's going to return in glory and in power on a white horse. But the first time Jesus has come, he's coming humbly in submission to the will of the Father, riding humbly on a donkey. Okay? So those who were sent away and found it just as he had told them, and as they were untying the colt, its owner said to them, why are you untying this colt? And he said, the Lord has need of it. And they brought it to Jesus, and throwing their cloaks on the colt, they sat Jesus on it. And as he rode along, they spread their cloaks on the road. As he was drawing near, already on the way down to the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of his disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen. They're laying palm leaves, they're laying their coats, letting Jesus ride in on the donkey. Did you guys know that on the back of a donkey, there's stripes on the back of a donkey, one going down and one going up or across in the shape of a cross? So on the back of every donkey, there's like a cross, and Jesus is sitting on this. Think about it, riding a week prior. And then a week after, he's riding on top of the cross of this donkey. He's going to be nailed to a wooden cross. Verse 38, saying, blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. He's being worshipped. And some of the Pharisees in the crowd had said to him, teacher, rebuke your disciples. And he answered, I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones would cry out. Creation naturally worships Christ. We see this in the Psalms, but he's saying that they don't have to cry out because these people are glorifying me. But even if they didn't, the rocks would cry out. And that should be a heart posture for us in today's society. It's like, man, everything that we do should be worship towards the Lord so that creation doesn't have to cry out on behalf of us. Jesus weeps over Jerusalem. Now, this next few verses, when Jesus is weeping over Jerusalem, he's not necessarily weeping over Jerusalem in the sense of his crucifixion that he's about to go through. He's weeping over the punishment Jerusalem is going to go through that we read about a few chapters ago. Come on, sit down, Moses. He's blocking the camera again. He likes to do this. Would that you, even you, had known on this day the things that make for peace. The phrase on this day comes from the prophet Daniel. He comes from the prophet Daniel, and it was prophesied in Daniel about a specific day. And this is, and according to the Hebrew and Greek translation, this is supposed to be the same day that the prophet Daniel was prophesying about. But now they are hidden from your eyes. For the days will come upon you when your enemies will set up a barricade around you and surround you and hem you and on every side. He's prophesying the Roman, what the Roman Empire is going to do to Jerusalem, and tear you down on the ground, and you and your children within you, and they will not leave one stone upon another in you, because you did not know the time of your visitation. Now, to close out chapter 19, we're about to see Jesus cleanse the temple. And he entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold, saying to them, it is written, my house shall be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers. That is quoted from Isaiah. And he was teaching daily in the temple. The chief priests and the scribes and the principal men of the people were seeking to destroy him, but they did not find anything they could do, for all the people were hanging on to his words. So when Jesus is cleansing the temple, the reason that he cleansed the temple is because nobody could go in there and pray to the Lord because they had made that entire area to seek the Lord in prayer a marketplace. That's why it was called a den of thieves, because no one could even seek the Lord in prayer because they were doing nothing but buying and selling. So he kicked them out. He said, you will not make the house of the Lord a den of thieves when it was made to be a house of prayer. Quoted from the book of Isaiah. Guys, chapter 19 was powerful. We're getting ready to read chapter 20 here, where we're about to set up Jesus. He's gonna have a plot to kill him in the chapters to come. We're going to see the authority of Jesus challenged in chapter 20 and see some parables told. Guys, I pray that chapter 19 has blessed you guys. I love you guys. Go to jesusinthestreet.org/tickets. Get your tickets for the live podcast show. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Luke chapter 20.